up on our version 17 resource page that can be found on our website under support. That also we're showing it the presentation that just showed prior to me starting just now around 1 o'clock here. So without further ado, again, if you have questions, I'm not going to be unmuting people to have you ask questions out loud. If you have questions, you can open your question panel on your go-to webinar toolbar and type your question in. If it occurs while I'm showing things and I don't see it, then Ross will be answering those. He will answer those personally right back to you. He'll type in an answer. At the end of the user group, I will open the floor for questions that I'll go ahead and read out loud and answer for everyone. Out of respect for everyone who was here for these 20 minutes to learn about how to add fields to members or visitors, try to keep your questions topical. If you have a question pertaining to your specific data or dealing with a different module, those might be best answered on a support call or emailing your question to support. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First, to save time, I went ahead and opened up Church Windows and I clicked on Membership and hold on just one moment. Sorry. So here, once I click on Membership, that opens up my member portal. In the member portal, we're going to look at real quick members. And what we're going to do today is look at how we can add fields to members and or visitors, and then you can also show those fields in both sides of the database or in one, and you can change the order of the fields, how they show in the members or visitor database. Now I'm spotlighting right now what we're going to be looking at. Just take a look here in members. These are the fields we can add. You can add new fields to the individual record or the personal information. So if you take a look on the right side at the various fields we have displaying in our member records, let me get my clicking tool. And now if we go up to membership and then visitors and take a look at the visitor side, you'll notice we have some different fields showing for visitors and some other fields that we showed in our member side that we don't even display here in our visitor records. So because you might want to track different information for what you consider to be a visitor versus a member, you can really customize what shows on either side of the database, and you can make new fields in addition to what already comes preset with the program. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to members. Now what I'm showing you, if you want to add fields to the visitor side, it's done the same way. I'm showing you right now in the member side. If we want to add a new field, let's go ahead and add a cell phone field. I do not see any cell phone field here. So we want to add a cell phone field for individuals so we can start tracking that. So upper left, I'm going to go ahead and click on Options and then select Customize Fields. This opens up my Customize Fields for Member File screen. Upper left here, it takes us first to a tab where some of the household fields, if you don't use those, you can rename those and use those for another purpose. But what we're going to look at is this second tab, Add, Delete, Rearrange Fields for Member File. I want to make a cell phone field. So to do that, up along the top, towards the right side, upper right, I'm going to click on Add Field. Let me go ahead and circle that with my highlighter. So upper right, I click on Add Field. And the field we want to add is cell phone. So you just type in here in the name field exactly how you want that to appear in the records. So you can say cell phone, whatever you want to see in the records is what you want to type in that name field. Now if I click the down arrow for type, we can see all the types of fields you can add. Let's talk a little bit about these. Character field would be any combination of letters and numbers. So if you just want a field you can type random information into, the character field would be best for that. A date field expects 2 numbers for the month, 2 for the day, and then 4 for the year. So it's specific to dates. An email field looks for a proper email with the @ symbol and the .com or .net. So it has specific things it looks for in that field to know it's a proper email. A list field is a field where you can create codes and descriptions, and all of those, let me just close out of here real quick and show you. A list field is any of these top 6 fields we see, where if I click the little arrow just to the right of it, it gives me a menu of the different codes and descriptions I've created. Let me get rid of that highlighting up there, and let's go back to customize fields. So let me type cell phone back in there. I like visuals, so I wanted to show you that list field instead of just describing it. Numeric would be a field that the input is numbers. Phone, if you select a phone as your type, then it expects 3 numbers for an area code and then a 7-digit phone number. And then you also can create a phone extension field if someone has an extension you want to track as well. All right, so our cell phone field is going to be a phone field, so I'll choose phone. It automatically defaults to a length of 10. So it's a set length. Then I can click OK. Now I can go ahead and keep adding more fields if I need to, or I can go ahead and close this after I've clicked OK. And if we look, now you'll notice here we have 2 columns. The first is use in member file. Because I went into customize through my member records, that is why use in member file is the first column. The second, use in visitor file, shows what fields I'm displaying in the visitor side. And then I have the actual field name, the field type, and the field length. Now we see cell phone, my newest field. It placed that right at the top of all of my fields. So if I go look in my records right now, we see cell phone right up at the top. Well, maybe we don't want that right at the top. Let's go ahead and go back into Customize, and then Add, Delete, Rearrange. If you'd like to rearrange the order you see your fields in the member or visitor records, well, if you want to do it in members, you'd go through members. If I want to change visitors, I'd go through visitors. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to highlight my cell phone field. And then just to the right of this big box, we have the order up and down arrows. So maybe I want that just down above email address. So I can use that down arrow to move it down to where I'd like it. And now I see it's just above email. But currently, I'm not even using this field in my visitor file. So I'll show you here momentarily how we can add that if we'd like to do our visitor file. If I close out and look now, here we see our cell phone field, just where we placed it, moving it down to just above email address. Now, if I would like to show this field also in my visitor records, then I can go along the top. I need to go actually into visitors, so I'll go up to membership and visitors. And notice if you look at all our fields, nothing has changed. No cell phone field is showing in my visitor records. But if I want to track that in visitors, I can go up to Options and Customize Fields, and then Add, Delete, Rearrange Fields for Visitor File. Now I do not need to create a new cell phone field for the visitor side. All I have to do, notice cell phone is showing up at the top. And remember how when we were in members, the first column was, use in member file. Now that we're in visitors, the first item or the first column we see is use in visitor file. And at the top, it's showing us the fields we've chosen to not display. And then below, we see everything checked that we are displaying in the visitor files. To display the cell phone field in visitors, I just need to highlight the line where I see cell phone. And then if I come over here to the right, this button, Use Field in Visitor File, is multi-purpose. Watch what happens. If I click on that, That puts a check in the cell phone in the Use in Visitor File column. And now look at that button. Because I am opting to show the cell phone field, and that's what I have highlighted, now that button says hide. So if I decide I want to hide that field, I could click hide field in visitor file. Let me just show you how we can do that. Maybe we don't put our visitors in the directory, so we have no reason to show include on directory or directory report order in our visitor records. So if you want to hide something, you can just highlight the field and then click the button that before said use, but because I'm highlighting something I'm currently showing in the visitor side, this button says hide. If I click on it, it pops it up to the top to the items that I am not showing currently in my visitor files. And it unchecks that, and that button now says use. But if I click now on directory report order, I don't want to show that in my visitor records. I can click hide field. Oh, and I'm sorry, that is one that now I did not realize was 17. We can't hide that. And the reason for that is that comes in handy with a lot of searches and reports when you want to narrow down to one listing per family. But we could move that. Maybe we don't use it, so can highlight it and move it all the way down to the bottom. Maybe cell phone, we don't want at the very top of our visitor records, so I can highlight that and then use the arrows to move that down to wherever I'd like to see that. And now if I click on OK, notice we're seeing for our visitor files, somebody said the fields are not in order. But if we take a look here for visitors, we're showing first visit, second visit, sent letter. And here's the order we're showing our fields for visitors. I click OK and take a look. That's exactly what we see in our visitor records. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and go back into members because I just prefer being in members. Maybe you want to delete a field. You no longer use that field, so you want to delete it. You can also do that by going up to Options and Customize Fields. We can click on Add, Delete, Rearrange Fields. Maybe, let's see, we don't keep track of their health record anymore. So we're going to highlight. I'll show you how we can delete it. If we click Delete, it's in the upper right. It asks if we want to delete that. I can say yes, and that field is gone. Also, any information we had in that field originally, that is gone as well. When you delete a field, the field's gone, so logically all the information that you might have typed in that field before you deleted it is also gone as well. If you don't want to delete a field, you'd like to retain the information that's in that field, but you don't need to display it in the records. Let's take a look here. I'll just show you with email. If we look at email address, we see Bob Jones has an email address. But if I wanted to hide a field, you probably wouldn't want to hide email, but I just want to show you it doesn't delete anything. If I hide a field, let's pop that up to the items I am not showing in member file. We can see now other email shows, but email does not. By hiding that field, I can always go back in and use that or turn that field back on so it's showing in my records. And notice I don't lose any of the information that was originally typed into that field. So you could go ahead and hide a field rather than delete it if you have so many fields showing on your records, but you still would like to keep that information for possibly bringing it back up on the records at another time. Hiding it will allow you to retain the information still, but then not display it actually in the records unless you opt to go back in and make that visible. Really quickly, we've got about 5 more minutes. I want to show you how to add a list field. Because list fields, when you make them, you do have to do a little bit more work than just adding the field. So if I click Add Field, maybe we want to create a list code or list field of newsletter email. Does the person want the newsletter email to them, yes or no? So we'll call it email whoops, newsletter. My fingers can't type today. And then the type, I'm going to make it a list field. And it can be from 1 to 3 characters, but because I'm just going to make it a Y or an N for yes or no, I'm just going to make it 1 and say OK. Close this, and I'm going to go ahead and move email newsletter down by the actual email address. Seems logical to me. And now if I close out, we see our new field. Let me highlight it here. Here's our email newsletter field. Now if I click that little box beside it, the down arrow brings up, somebody already had an email newsletter and it's picking up the old fields. So let me delete these. Now when I delete list codes, it does tell me how many records will be affected. Oops, I think I hit the wrong thing. Yes. Okay. Was not expecting this. All right, so let's pretend this is a brand new field. I'm making brand new list fields for it. Turn off this highlighting. To make my list fields, I just click Add Items, type in my code, and because I said 1 for the link, that went right over to description. So I can click in my code for yes, create my code for no, close this little window and close my list codes. And now if I click that, it will bring up my email newsletter code and description that I can add to records. All right, let me take a look real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything I wanted to show you. Once you get in here and you get used to adding a field and then showing it in members or visitors, it's pretty easy to really customize what fields you show in your member database versus what you show in your visitor database. And remember, if you have too many fields showing, but you don't want to lose information, you can hide that field and retain the information rather than deleting the field. If I delete a field, I will lose any of the information that was in that field. Once the field's deleted, it's gone, and anything typed in that field or recorded for people is gone as well. All right. Well, that is all I wanted to show you today, having to do with how you can add, delete, rearrange, and really customize the individual or personal information for your visitors or your members. Without all that introductory information we usually do at the beginning, I finished 2 minutes early, so we have plenty of time for questions. If you need to leave, you can just click the X in the right corner of your GoToWebinar toolbar, and that will exit the room. It will not offend me if you need to leave and don't want to stick around for questions, but Ross and I can stick around for questions if you like. Someone said, if fields are different in member and visitor file, what happens to fields when a visitor is transferred to a member? When you move somebody from visitors to members, all the information will move over with them. But say, excuse me, whoops, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to go up to membership visitors. Like first visit, second visit, sent letter, those are items we're not showing in our member files. So while you would retain that information for the individual, that information would not display when you transfer that record over to members unless you go into the customize and you choose to make those visible on the member records. The information would still be there and hidden behind the scenes, but because those fields are not being displayed in the member records, none of that would show over on their personal information. But the information is still there if you choose to show those fields here in your member records. So yeah, if you have different fields between visitors and members, when you move them over, you don't lose any of that information. But if that field is not being displayed, you're not going to see that on the member record that you transfer them over and into. Someone said, is there a way to, whoops, my screen moved. Is there a way to turn off one field for a member for a church directory a member does not want cell phone published? No, you cannot turn a field off for just one person. If somebody did not want their cell phone published, then you might want to create a second cell phone field called unpublished cell phone and actually put their cell phone in that field. And then only the cell phone field you put on the directory would show, not the unpublished, unless you add that to your directory. But no, there is not a way to turn off a field for just one record. Hiding the fields affects everyone in members or everyone in visitors. Someone asked, is there a way to import email list from my Google email account? You can export data out of church windows over into Google, but you can't import Google into church windows. If you need help exporting data out of church windows, definitely give us a call or email us and we'll be happy to help you with that. Any more questions? Let me see if I missed any or if there were any that Ross wasn't able to answer. While I'm looking, if you have a question, you might want to go ahead and hit enter and just go ahead and post part of that to us so I don't close the room while you're in the middle of typing. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. So last chance to type in some questions if you have any. If you have a more in-depth question, definitely give us a call or email support@churchwindows.com. I think once you see how you can add those fields or hide them or delete them, it's pretty easy. But it is, a lot of people I think aren't aware that you can customize your member versus your visitor side to show what you want to see. Someone said I came late. How do you access hidden info? If you need fields that are not being displayed, you can go to options in the upper left and then customize fields. And then upper left, click add, delete, rearrange fields for member file. And here you can see by the checks what is being shown in members and what is being shown in visitors. And for anyone who did come late, this is being recorded. And the gentleman who cleans up our videos and gets them out on our website is being pretty quick about that. I just did a user group on Tuesday, and he let us know this morning that's all ready to go for our webmaster to put on the site. So probably by next week, hopefully this one would be cleaned up and on the site available for you to watch at your leisure. So keep an eye on our website. All of the videos, or a good deal of the videos, are put on our version resource page. And those are all free for you to watch whenever you would like to. More questions? Okay, someone said, what I mean is, how do I see a field not on membership but on visitor side if I have transferred someone over from one side to the other? Okay, I thought I answered that, but let me show you. You'd go into add, delete. You'd highlight that visitor field that you're not showing in members. You'd highlight it. You'd click use field in member file. And now when I click OK, that field is now showing in my member file. And if that person that you transferred over had information in that field, that would still be there and display as well. So you would actually have to go in through members to that customize and then check use field in member file to have it show. Okay, and they said they get it. Cool. All right. Any other questions? I better turn that field back off in my member side here and for the next person doing a webinar. All right. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for attending today's user group. If someone else signed you up for this user group, I want to show you On our website, along the left under training, the last item is free user webinars. And here you can see a list of all the different webinars. We have the August webinars up. Next week I'm doing a version 18 attendance preview. If you attend that one, be kind. It's new to me too. I've worked a lot with it to help with the help files on that, but I'm still learning my way around that screen. I'm going to practice some on Monday. Um, but here, if someone else signed you up, you can come here yourself, sign up for any of those. Also along the left under support, under new version resources, here are all the different free movies I had mentioned. And looks like the birthday anniversary report one I just did Tuesday is already up here. And if you click on support blog, here you can find all kinds of documents and free movies as well. So just want to point out all that free help that's available on your website in case we're not here. It's the weekend and you're trying to find an answer. Check out our website. There's all kinds of help there. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a fabulous day. Thank you for attending today's user group. And I'll probably talk to you on the phone or see you or talk to you in our next user group. Have a great day. Bye.